One Zambia, One Nation, and thanks for joining us on ZANIS News. To present, my name is Juliet Mtale. Top stories in the news. President Hichilema inducts officers under Special Forces Corps. Zambia aids Malawi flood victims, items worth $1 million United States dollars. Government gives ultimatum to teachers to report to respective stations before June. Plus, Chief Mumena calls for strengthened interventions in the fight against malaria. ZANIS News in detail. President Hakainde Hichilema has inducted 29 commissioned officers and one non-commissioned officer who underwent training of the Special Forces Corps in Mbala district in Northern Province. The head of state has urged the Special Forces to be professional, disciplined, and loyal as they execute their duties in various assignments across the country. Taonga Nkoma now reports.
Not even the rains could stop him from inspecting the garden parade mounted by the Special Forces operatives at the Special Forces Training School in Mbala. This was when President Hakainde Hichilema inducted 29 commissioned officers and one non-commissioned officer of Intake 10 of 2022 trainees into the Special Forces Corps. The head of state has urged the graduates to be professional, disciplined, and help in the maintenance of peace at national, regional, and global level.
You are expected to perform your duties professionally, as I said already, diligently, as per your training, as you get deployed into the various special forces units across the country. You don't change because you've gone to a particular location. You are who you are. Maintain that posture, conduct yourself as such. Deep professional, discipline. The skills you have acquired here are necessary. They are also dangerous in a civilian environment. They must be used and used only when they are required.
Lieutenant Colonel Kenneth Ngulube is Commandant for Special Forces Training School.
I would like to assure the guests of honor that we did our part and we are ready to present them before command and before the guests of honor, sir, that they are ready to serve the nation anywhere and in any situation.
Zambia Army Commander Lieutenant General Stanley Alubuzwi urged the Special Forces graduates to uphold the Constitution of Zambia and refrain from partisan politics.
I wish to further remind you that you must always uphold the Constitution of Zambia and desist from engaging in a partisan politics, because the consequences of doing so are well known by all of you.
Mr. President, the Ministry acknowledges the support rendered to your government towards training and capacity building programs aimed at professionalizing the services so that they continue to fulfill their training calendar.
The Special Forces also conducted demonstrations on a number of skills. The training of this intake of Special Forces commenced on July 18, 2022, and November 2023 will mark 40 years of the existence of the unit. Taonga Nkoma reporting for ZANIS in Mbala.
In Southern Province, the 8th Intergovernmental Standing Committee on Shipping meeting of Ministers for Eastern, Southern and Northern Africa has opened in Livingstone with a call to enhance collaboration and building synergies for transforming the shipping and maritime sector in the region. Minister of Transport and Logistics Frank Tayali says there is need for increased harmonization of maritime policies in the region in order to transform the sector. Details in this report.
The maritime sector remains one of the significant drivers of international trade. However, efforts to grow the sector has remained a challenge for most African countries. Zambia has hosted the 8th Intergovernmental Standing Committee on Shipping, ISCOS, for Eastern, Southern and Northern Africa in Livingstone. Transport and Logistics Minister Frank Tayali wants member states to address the challenges affecting the sector.
The maritime industry in Africa has been faced with many challenges over the years. Number one, high maritime costs, especially for land-linked countries like Zambia and Zimbabwe and Malawi. Number 2, inadequate coordination and collaboration. 3, low levels of skilled personnel in maritime. And 4th, lack of high levels of ownership of sea vessels by Africans. There is therefore need to formulate policies and strategies to address these challenges. This is where the Intergovernmental Standing Committee on Shipping comes in.
East Coast Chairperson, who is also Uganda's Minister of Transport, Edward Wamala, has called for the collective review of policies hindering the growth of the maritime industry in the region.
The economical thing to do is to develop and share protocols among ourselves which can enable us to benefit from collective synergies, help us to pull resources together for regional maritime initiatives, and inspire collective negotiation of trade arrangements with overseas trade partners.
Other member states also made their contributions.
We therefore wish that this increasing greater collaboration in the maritime industry could extend the inland waterways of the region, including Lake Tanganyika.
For Southern Province Minister, the efforts East Coast is making must be commended.
We are very grateful to East Coast Secretariat for supporting this event, and most importantly, for the various initiatives you are making in the maritime transport and logistics sectors of supporting the establishment of shippers' councils in East Coast member states with a view of reducing the cost of doing business.
This meeting also saw the signing of the joint communique for enhanced collaboration among member states. The committee has also resolved to change its name from East Coast to Maritime Organization of the Eastern, Southern, Northern and Moisina. In Chimunya-Nalumpa, ZANIS, in Livingstone, Southern Province.
Now, government has donated food and non-food items to Malawi to help ease the burden being faced by the country's victims who have been hit by the cyclone Freddy. The Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU National Coordinator Gabriel Pollen says the Zambia Air Force plane, which has been dispatched, will deliver 5 tons of relief aid, adding that the additional supplies are being delivered to Malawi by road. Sunday Walia has the rest of the story.
The Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, in the Office of the Vice President, has dispatched a plane carrying a consignment of humanitarian aid worth about $1 million to help survivors of Cyclone Fred in Malawi. Gabriel Pollen, in the company of Minister of Information and Media, Permanent Secretary Kennedy Kalunga, officially flagged off the relief dispatch to Malawi at Lusaka ZAF Base Airport this morning.
So following the appeal by the Malawian government for support from the international community, a directive was given by His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to come to the aid of our neighbors, our brothers and sisters in Malawi in times of disaster. Despite ourselves facing our own challenges in our country, the President has extended a hand to our neighbors in Malawi.
Dr. Pollen said President Hichilema's decision to direct DMMU to provide humanitarian aid to Malawi is in the spirit of good neighborliness.
And we are providing support in terms of food and non-food items. Already there's been over 100 metric tons of maize that's been allocated for the primary response in Malawi. We are providing tents, we're providing other non-food items such as blankets. We're also providing chlorine, we're providing tents as well for the households that have been displaced. The reports indicate that 5,000 people in Malawi have been displaced, and our target is to support at least 20% of the displaced citizens of Malawi through our intervention, the Zambian government's intervention to the people of Malawi. So this has been a direct directive from the President of the Republic of Zambia in support of the people of Malawi.
Some media institutions covering the aftermath of the floods in Malawi indicate that there are currently many casualties of Cyclone Fred in Malawi. For ZANIS in Lusaka, I am Sunday Warrior.
In a related development, over 50 houses have collapsed in Chama district in Eastern Province following torrential rains. Eastern Province Permanent Secretary Paul Tolle says the worst affected areas are those bordering Malawi, which have been hit with Tropical Cyclone Freddy. Mr. Tole told the Zambia News and Information Services in Chipata that some districts in the province have been hit by the tropical cyclone. He says government has since distributed 14,300 times 50 kilograms bags of white maize to the affected families in the district. Mr. Tole has explained that a team from the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, is on the ground to respond to the crisis. And Chama District Commissioner Yobe Goma says the most affected areas are impassable as houses are submerged in water.
The most affected district is Chama. Our brothers and sisters in Chama, we have just finished distributing some 14,300 bags of maize with the help of our defense forces. And unfortunately, these trucks, which were helping us to take care of the distribution in Chama, passed and proceeded to Lusaka. We hope that we will be able to manage with our limited resources within the province.
Now, in education news, the Teaching Service Commission has directed education managers across the country to ensure that the 30,000 newly recruited teachers report to their respective workstations before June this year. Commission Chairperson Delphine Chimka laments that most teachers recruited last year are still in urban areas. Details in this report.
The Teaching Service Commission is concerned that despite the recruitment of 30,000 teachers last year, rural schools are still understaffed, while the urban schools continue to have more teachers. Teaching Service Commission Chairperson Daphne Chimuka has directed education managers across the country to take back the recruited teachers to where their services are needed to serve a rural child by June.
Every Zambian child deserves a qualified teacher. So when you decide to move this teacher from a rural school, you are just denying those children the right to education. Because you have decided these don't deserve these teachers, the urban children are the ones that deserve. We will be doing an assessment. We are going to be doing our M&E before June. Teaching Service is doing an M&E to see how the teachers we sent you last year have been deployed. What does that mean? I'll leave it at that. So if you made a mistake of moving teachers from where they should have been because they are related to somebody, please return them to those schools before we come.
Central Province Education Officer Miunda Hamdudu has appealed to the Commission to help resolve the impasse of teachers who were seconded to Nkuruma College before it became a university.
Will be settled as to know how they'll proceed getting their benefits once they reach the retirement age. These were seconded, and thereafter the college became a university, and they were on contracts. Some of them, they don't have a letter of retirement or termination or resignation, so they are quite not certain of their tomorrow. So we hope this information, as it reaches the Teaching Service Commission, they'll be able to look at the fate of these teachers who were appointed because they are hardworking and they were seconded to go to the college then, which is now a university.
Boniface Makunga is a Tsamba head teacher who gave the vote of thanks.
These are still young. Now, if they live separately, let's say this person will work for 35 years, then for 30 years, they are living separate or separate with the spouse. There is no marriage there. Because even if you are a Christian, I don't know if you can be faithful for 35 years.
Mercy Nakawala, reporting for ZANIS in Kabwe, Central Province.
You're watching ZANIS News from Mass Media Complex. Minister of Information and Media Chushi Kasanda has challenged the media to produce well-researched stories as they cover the Summit for Democracy scheduled for March 29th to 30th in Lusaka. Mrs. Kasanda says the media should tell factual stories highlighting the importance of democracy in creating a better society for all. The minister says the media must, through its reporting, enable the public to understand the benefits of democracy in Zambia. She says the media needs to support the growth of democracy, which the current administration is championing. Mrs. Kasanda says government is committed to further deepen the country's democracy by supporting media efforts to come up with a self-regulatory mechanism. And speaking at the same event, Open Spaces Zambia Chief of Party Telda Mawarire has urged journalists to incorporate voices of the ordinary people as they cover the summit.
I note with delight that the topics for the workshop have been carefully selected, and a team of highly experienced resource persons has been assembled to interact with the media in the day-long workshop. It is my expectation that at the end of this workshop, you will have gained valuable knowledge and understanding about the Summit for Democracy, and that through you, the people of Zambia will understand the benefits of democracy in a country like Zambia. Above all, we expect detailed and well-researched stories that tell the benefits of the democracy in creating a better, safer, and prosperous world for all. I'm excited for us to be co-hosting this workshop to orient journalists on the summit, the Fourth Estate being an important player in disseminating information to all Zambians that would want to know what is going to go on at the summit. I'm glad that we have this opportunity to do this orientation as a cooperation by USAID Open Spaces and the ministry, so that all members of the Fourth Estate also have got important information, and this will also help us to avoid misinformation and any disinformation ahead of the summit.
We move to the Copperbelt province. 2 human feet have been discovered in the belly of a crocodile that was killed in Mufulira district. Copperbelt Police Commanding Officer Piswa Mwemba disclosed in a statement to ZANIS that the incident took place on 13th March 2023. Mr. Mwemba says the police received a report from Kidwo Marutsanga of plot number 8724 Lakeview Estate in Mufulira that he and the 2 others found the 2 human feet in the stomach of a crocodile, which they killed. He said police then rushed to the scene and took photographs of the feet. The 2 human feet have been picked and deposited to Ronald Cross Hospital mortuary pending investigations. Mr. Mwemba added that the preliminary investigations indicate that there has been no missing person. A 34-year man of Chipata has been discovered dead after he went missing for about a week. The body of the deceased was discovered in Lukwango stream around the Kapata area by children who were picking scrap metal. More in this report.
After having gone missing for about a week, the body of a Chipata male adult has been discovered in Lukwakwa stream. The uncle to the deceased gave an account of events prior to the discovery of the body.
Ananyamuka pachiviri kuyenda kuzamalonda kukapata kugulisa somba zong'amba. So after waenda anagulisa somba zija antirupa kufika kumazulo kuma 16 hours. Anaenda kupereka somba zija then ndalama zamene anapanga kuliva nikazi vakatundu. Then anabwera amuuza kuti no mvula ikugwa ikulu so losha first. Anakana nakambata no nizaenda ndipo amene anachokera kuja kuliva bwana wake nogwera mu road. So jamani chinachitika mu road sitozoziva isa family yayi. Tinaona kuti pachiviri uja munthu sana bwere kunyumba. Pachitatu futi tinaona zi sana bwere kunyumba. Tinambo kudankha bati nishi umuntu anaenda bwanji ku business. So tinabwerera kufufuza pangali pachinayi apo. Tinaenda kuliva business kuwafunsi. anatuuza chimozimozi mwamene nakambira hapa. So tinamba kusakira pa chinayi. Tinaenda ku polisi kulembesa kufufuza kuja kuti maybe mwina angamugwireko kapena ni mashishita. Tinaona kuti kulibe. Vanatitumiza endani ku hospital. Tinaenda ku hospital kuja kufufuza kuja ku hospital. Tinapeza kuti kuja ku hospital mkati muja mawada anatilola lowani. Tinasakira uja muntu, tinaona kuti kumulibe. Tinaenda ku mochale. Anatufunukurira matupi kuja ku mochale kuli baja bantu osowa azibururu wao. Tinaona kuti no kulibe.
And one of the witnesses found at the scene narrated that the body was discovered by children who were picking scrap metals around the area.
Chakuma 80 kulitubana tukondo dobadoba mascrap metal. Tuanza kupita mstream mulunkwakwa. Ndiye twamene twenzi twabwera bolo kambati anko uku kuli muntu wakufa. So ndiye pamene tenstein tako kuchi. Tangana. Then kaine mention nchito yanga yawo wewe dai sini angana bwino. So my son went the other side. No bolo news that daddy it's true limuntu wakufa. After maniuza vana ndipo pamene zinapanga ulendo enda kapata police post no chita report kucha.
By press time, relatives who had gathered were still waiting for the police to pick up the body while some officers were manning the scene. Abigail Kashweka, ZANIS in Chipata.
Chief Mumena in Kalumbira district has called for strengthened interventions in order to rid the province of malaria. The province has continued recording high malaria incidents despite the many interventions being put in place. More in this report.
They have come together to look at ways of strengthening the fight against malaria, which has continued to be one of the major public health problems in Northwestern Province. Despite the many interventions being put in place by various stakeholders, malaria cases have continued rising, and this has brought concern.
I must be able to state, PS and the rest of the members that are here, that the last few months have been very difficult in terms of malaria. Not only in Kalumbira district, but the entire province. We've seen an increase in malaria cases, despite all the things that we've been able to do. This shows that apart from what we've done, we need a few other efforts that must tell us exactly where we are and what indeed is the main driver for the malaria.
Government wants all stakeholders to work together in making the province malaria-free.
Northwestern Province recorded a malaria incidence rate in all ages of 801 cases per 1,000 population in 2021 compared to 1,168 cases per 1,000 population in 2022. Area stakeholders play a big role in ensuring treatment, prevention and control of malaria is achieved.
Mwape Mwesa for ZANIS in Kalumbira district.
In other news, government is hopeful that the first 1,000 most critical days program will have high-impact interventions aimed at reducing severe malnutrition among children in Lusaka. The program, which is being implemented in selected communities in the district, is receiving overwhelming support. And now in business news, mobile money booth operators are calling on the Kasama Municipal Council to reduce the amount being paid towards business levies. They have further complained that despite paying high fees, the council has not effectively been carrying out services such as garbage collection. More in this report.
Business operators face a number of issues as they strive to make ends meet without affecting the growth of their businesses. And mobile money booth operators are equally no exception owing to the competitiveness of the business. In Kasama district, the mobile money vendors have bemoaned the high charges being paid to the council.
How much are we supposed to pay? My 1,600 or my 1,400? Because other people are paying me my 1,400. As in town, you are paying 1,600.
It doesn't make any sense. You are paying the owner of the plot. The council also wants site fee. Because if it's private land, why should they get site fee from us as well?
Chambeshi Market Mobile Money Booth Operators Association Chairperson Victor Katongo says despite the council collecting funds from traders every day, garbage collection is never done timely.
I even paid, and I usually pay a 2 kwacha every day, and as people in the booths, we usually pay a 1,400 per year, but they are not working in order to assist us.
Kasama Town Clerk Kasonde Msongole has responded to the operators' complaints.
Over a sum of 8.7 million, which our business community are owing Kasama Municipal Council. Not only the booth owners, even other businesses who are not paying Kasama Municipal Council. As your council, we are failing to provide the adequate service to our people. Our only track is down. But we have RDA that has come on board to assist the council to collect waste. Provincial administration have sent through their almost 5-ton truck to assist in the waste management. We also have a businessman who has also come on board.
Reporting for ZANIS, Sylvia Zulu in Kasama District.
Finally, in the news, Nalolo District Commissioner Namatama Mupo says the recent reduced digital payment of social cash transfers will enhance transparency and accountability in the disbursement of funds. The Nalolo District Acting Social Welfare Officer, Trust Chingala, says the Zambia Integrated Social Protection Information Services will resolve the challenges the department is facing. Sifue Mwangala has more in this report.
In a bid to improve the disbursement of the social cash transfer funds, the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services has adopted a digital payment system called the Zambia Integrated Social Protection Information Services. Government authorities in Nalolo District have appreciated the digital payment system. Speaking when she graced a training workshop for 74 social cash transfer pay point managers held at Senanga School of Nursing, Nalolo District Commissioner Namatama Mopo said the system will enhance transparency and accountability in the social cash transfer program.
In the interest of enhancing transparency and accountability, the ministry has now adopted a new model called the Zambia Integrated Social Protection Information System, but still with the use of PayPoint managers. So since we are changing the system, I'm so happy because this is very transparent.
Meanwhile, Acting Nalolo District Social Welfare Officer Trust Chingala says the digital system will address many challenges that the department was facing.
With this digital migration, I want to assure the nation and the district commissioner here, the entire district and our beneficiaries, their monies are safe and their monies will be received as long as they are also eligible and correct beneficiaries. We got also beneficiaries that are also in the system of not being transparent.
And Mapungu PayPoint manager Liungum Katimui thanked the District Social Welfare Office for imparting them with digital knowledge.
You have increased our curriculum vitae today. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to Mrs. Skanam and Mrs. Mpo for the well explanation of how to use the ZANIS software.
Sifue Mwangala, reporting for ZANIS News, Western Province.
As we conclude the news, we take a look at the top stories once again. President Hijilema inducts officers under Special Forces Corps. Zambia aids Malawi flood victims, items worth $1 million United States dollars. Government gives ultimatum to teachers to report to respective stations before June. Plus, Chief Mumena calls for strengthened interventions in the fight against malaria. Thank you so much for staying with us. On behalf of the entire ZANIS production team, my name is Juliet Ndele saying bye-bye.